Welcome everybody. This is season 2 of Behind the Joystick, and I'm here with the one and only Cora. How are you today?
I'm happy to be here.
Good, me too. I know we were trying to follow each other in the CECC today. I would stalk your Twitter and be like, okay, where did they go? There she is. All right, good. And then you'd bump into me, and now we're here, finally.
Yeah, it's been a really busy day because I'm handling all the media stuff here.
Yes.
So I'm always needed somewhere, but because I covered pool so heavily yesterday, I was able to take today as just main stage.
That's awesome. And then, so you've done this, and then also the Ohio trip. Last time we talked, you were nominated, and they didn't know the winners yet, and so now we're here, and congratulations on that. How was that, like, a win for you?
It was unexpected, honestly.
Yeah.
I try not to get my hopes up as kind of like a way to not get too excited or disappointed. And so I didn't really expect to win. It felt really nice. It was really cool to be nominated and recognized alongside folks that I really respect and look up to.
Yeah.
And it's even weird to come into this event being nominated for stuff again.
Oh, really?
Because I have, I think, 2 or 3 nominations here, and I've already forgotten what they are, honestly.
No, I'm right behind you on it.
I think one's like Director of the Year, one's Commissioner.
Okay.
And I don't really advertise that voting much because it's not something that's really important to me, because I just do what I do, and if it's recognized, it's recognized.
Right. That's awesome. And mainly, like, this is just for, your recognition is given because those kids that, you work with, or even like the people in the collegiate space, they know you. They know that your hard work and everything that you do. Even being nominated is just like, it's such a win, and I feel like you deserve all of it.
Thank you so
Honestly,
much.
I'm like, every time that, I know like last time we talked, I like started tearing up a little bit because like I love how passionate you are, and like the drive you do with the Aurora series, with the photography behind the scenes of like almost every collegiate esports space scene. So like, what would you say is like your next mission?
I truly love doing media as much as it's this unstable, chaotic field.
Yeah.
It brings me just endless happiness because I get to. The biggest motivation for me for doing photography has always been like, I want to create an image that someone else sees themselves the first time and gets happy. Because a lot of players in esports especially, but also like the people behind the scenes, directors, coaches, that kind of thing, don't see themselves very often.
For sure.
And so a big goal for me is always to just like, hey, here's a picture of you. You can have something like, hey, this is me, I was at this thing. And you can be happy about that.
Right.
Because like very rarely do folks even get candidates that even they like. So I'm trying to do my best to make sure people have that satisfaction, and I love it. It's really fun. I really enjoy doing it, and it means a lot to me that I have the opportunity in the first place.
Right.
Because this is a passion that I turn into work, and I've always pushed myself day after day to try to find new ways to do it and new experiences, but in the end, it's still a passion. And I'm always trying new stuff. I've rented gear for this event.
That's awesome.
My backpack keeps getting heavier and heavier. And I'm just trying different things because I love it.
Yeah.
And I want to keep exploring and growing, because one of my biggest worries is stagnation. And if I get stagnant, if I sit still, I don't learn. And so it's all the learning process. Like I've been behind the scenes teaching Brooke. Brooke is the Playfly photographer and the UTD photographer. And she was set up backstage with us for internet access and all that stuff. And we've been talking a bunch, and I've been showing her a lot of my tricks of the trade and things that I do, as well as kind of like mentalities and stylistic choices I make.
Right.
And we've been talking a ton about her work and how she can grow as well, and like seeing people who are really passionate as well as a student is awesome.
It's kind of like you just took her under your wing during this event, and like now she's getting the opportunity to just learn more and experience things that she'll be needing in like the next events.
Yeah, and her work is amazing as it is. Like genuinely, her work's already so good for how little time she has behind the camera. Her work's amazing.
That's awesome.
I really would like to work alongside her at an event instead of just parallel,
Right.
because I think she's someone that I could work very closely with and get really cool like shots and do a lot of good coverage with. But I just want to see her grow and have more opportunities.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so then, like, what would you say would be like the next event that you're gonna possibly shoot photos for, that you're gonna just maybe slide into her Twitter and be like, hey, you wanna?
So this summer I have 2 events coming up.
Okay.
I am freelance shooting Combo Breaker, which is a fighting game tournament in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Okay.
My parents' house is near there, so I always stay with them and just get free housing for
Right.
a big event. I know all the media staff because I know all the esports photographers, so I know all of them. And so I get a little bit extra access I probably shouldn't because they all know me.
That's awesome.
And then I also am the lead photographer for the American Solar Challenge. So every summer I used to be a race car team in college, and every summer I give back to the series as a photographer.
That's awesome.
So I did coverage the last 2 years. I'm the sole photographer for 45 teams and an 8-mile track and this whole fun thing for a week. And it's once again a lot about showing students like, here's a picture of you, your team, because a lot of these teams, they don't really have the ability to dedicate, like even for esports, most student teams especially don't have a person for media because they're so shorthanded.
Right.
So I also love giving them the opportunity of like, hey, yeah, use the shots because it helps you grow.
Right.
And I've helped some teams write pitch decks and try to find more sponsors or just convince their dean of students or something like that, because a lot of people don't have the funding because they don't know how to get it.
Yeah, that, and then they'll just kind of hope for the best, and then they're shooting everything on.
Like blind emailing can only get you so far.
It really can. It can. What I'm learning is you just got to post on X and then have someone tag you, and then it just kind of works in your favor a little bit.
You also got to kind of endlessly market yourself.
Yes.
But in in subtle ways and also not so subtle ways. I will just randomly post photos here and there because it's just what I want to post, but I also, if I want to make a very targeted push, I will actually send my post to other people individually. It's like, hey, can you please support this?
Okay.
So it's pushing yourself is really hard because I'm always like, a lot of folks deal with this in creative spaces of doubting whether their work's good enough to be seen.
Yeah.
And that doubt never goes away for even folks that have shot this for years. So it's all about just taking the leap and saying, yes, someone please look at my work. Here's what I'm doing. Please come look at me.
Right. And now for people who are like in college and that they're super nervous and they don't know how to interact with people, what would you say is like the first steps for them to kind of push themselves into the space instead of just taking the course and graduating?
Make a portfolio. And whether it is the most amazing stuff of your life or not, it doesn't matter. You have one. Because a lot of times when you look for gigs, they're going to ask you, hey, can I see your portfolio? And if you just DM them 10 photos, it's not going to get you very far. Having a static website from something like Pixieset or Flickr or Wixie or something is really useful because it gets you leads even if you don't think it does. People will see your work in a more coordinated manner and you're not just someone throwing images out there. Now, will you look back at that work years later and say, oh, it's kind of crap, I didn't like that? Yeah, everyone does. Because your first year or two, you're really just trying to figure things out. And then as you keep growing and growing, you'll replace the photos more and more in that document to find things that you didn't think were that good.
Right.
So it's just get your name out there first by making a portfolio and contacting people that you know or getting in spaces that you need to be a part of. If you want to get in part of esports photography, there is actually a whole Discord of just all the esports photographers.
That is awesome.
Professional, collegiate, everyone. And that's where I met my current mentor, Rob, is through that server. So whenever I meet someone new who's not in that space, I always just push them in there. Like I got Brooke and Kiko, our video guy, because they also have video in there. I added both of them to that server like immediately when they got here to make sure they have more folks to talk to, and you can find people like, I don't know everything. I don't even claim to know anything because this is year 3 for me of shooting at all. And I don't claim to have this full knowledge, but a lot of our folks know different things or different styles, different techniques. There's film photographers in there, so find your people. It's really the biggest thing is you find a community to work with and they will help you grow and thrive so hard.
That's awesome. And it's cool to have like a server that way so that, you have students, even if you're not in the college space and you want to learn how to do photography, like there's a whole Discord system for that. And like you have a whole train of people that are able to help out in that type of space. What would you say like in esports and stuff? Is there like a different technique to that?
To get your name in esports or esports photography?
And like the collegiate,
In collegiate space for esports, it's raise your hand. Because esports, whether we like it or not, runs on volunteers. And I got my first 3 or 4 opportunities by just sticking my hand up and saying, I want to do this.
Right.
And you get the most opportunities to do cool stuff when you're volunteering because they can't really tell you you're not doing enough because you're volunteering.
Right.
And also you have more freedom to just do random things that you didn't think could work or want to try. Your volunteer time is the time to experiment. So I tell a lot of folks, like, just raise your hand, talk to someone. If there's a space or a community that you love, like, Octane is a great example. Octane Collegiate. They started from just 3 students that I like Apex. Want to make a league? Sure. And it just happened.
That's awesome.
So if the space doesn't exist that you want, make it.
Yeah.
But the only caution I'll give is make it the purpose. If you just say I'm going to do a thing, build it and they will come,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Build it for them to come, build it to make millions and millions of dollars. It's
Yeah, and the most foundational starting point is, and a question I ask any new director or coach in the space is, why are you here? And if the answer is not something about for the students, I ask them to leave. Because I'm an educator at heart, I used to teach, I still see my students as my charge. And if you are not here in esports for the betterment of the student's experience, you shouldn't be here.
for sure.
So I always encourage, if a student wants to start selling, or a coach or someone who's not even in the space, they need to start by talking to people that have that same mindset and building something that's for these students, not for themselves.
That's awesome. Well, what is your purpose? What do you think your purpose is?
I mean, besides shuffling paperwork back and forth all day, my purpose really is to make students happy. As much as teachers are always told, like, your job is to teach and not to appease the students, in some ways, being a good teacher is appeasing the students to a certain degree. You're a silly adult in the room, you still have to make sure things are done right, but your whole goal is to give them the experience they want. And what I always ask students when I'm recruiting them is, what do you want out of a collegiate esports experience? If it is, I want to lift trophies and do nothing else, I don't keep talking to them.
Right.
Because you're here as a student and an athlete. And if you don't want to balance those two responsibilities, I don't see the purpose of you being here.
For sure.
Like, trophies are great, winning is great, but it's not the only thing that matters.
Right. It's definitely more for like the experience, because like, especially in college, you are in college one time in your life.
Yep.
And so to run up and go, I'm just going to be this person who makes wins and that's all I do, you're missing out on like the main purpose of the space.
And I always ask people, like, what do you want to do after college? And I get a lot of like, but that's not a great answer, because you have to, the percentage of people who can go pro from collegiate esports is sub 2%. It is incredibly low, and you need to understand that, like, people don't have the ability to just go into professional. You have to either make an opportunity yourself, or what's life like beyond it? What's life after esports?
Right.
So you have to understand how I can make a life after esports, and how I can approach getting soft skills. Because, like, big thing I focus on for students is teamwork, communication, leadership, and I give them elevator responsibilities. I have student staff who I trust with everything, because why wouldn't I?
Right.
And they deserve to have the opportunity to experiment, grow, and you learn from failure. As much as something I learned a lot in teaching was natural consequences have a place. If there is something huge that I need to fix, great. But if you learn by tripping, that's honestly better, because you then have that lesson sticks.
Right.
I can lecture you all day long, but it will not stick unless you learn it yourself.
For sure. I feel like that's the same way with the podcasts. You can only get so much experience, or at least listening to the person that, like, I'm talking to, like you. We can only pick up so much from your experiences in the space. And so, like, you have to go off and trip a little, dust your knees off, and get back up again. Because if you're running, you're going to miss what's behind you.
Yep. And there's been stumbling blocks in my career. I've made, like, publications where I look back and go, it's not that good. Or, like, my early photo work that I was so proud of, it's awful. How did they hire me?
Right.
And, like, the whole mark of being someone who wants to be a professional, or at least grow in a space, is you keep trying.
Right.
And you keep looking reflectively at your own work and being not self-conscious, but reflective of, what did I do well? What do I want to do better? Because a thing I always caution students about is, if you say, here's my 3 successes and failures, those failures will just stick out like a sore thumb.
Right.
And they also, the failures, we usually say it's just a failure, there's no point of growth from it. So I always ask them, hey, what are 3 things you think went well? And what are 3 things you want to improve, and how? Because if there's no how attached to it, it is just this thought spinning around in your head.
Right. What would you say is after this for you? After the esports?
I mean, I want to do media full time. I love it dearly. Much as I love working with students, media has just been a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And it's one of those jobs where, like, these days are long, but I go to bed tired in a good way.
Yeah.
And that's the best part about doing stuff like this, esports or media, or stuff that you care about, is that, yeah, you're exhausted at the end of the day, but you are exhausted for a reason that you chose.
Right.
I would like to go into media full time, the stability that is questionable.
Yeah.
And I'm also providing for both myself and my partner, but I want to do it full time because it's just so impactful to me. And it's stuff that I think about when I go to bed and when I wake up.
That's awesome.
A thing I used to do in college when I was working on my race car team was I was making a new model for the car, and so I was doing this aerodynamics work every day. So I'd wake up every day going, what do I have to do for solar car? And that habit didn't leave me until like halfway through teaching.
Okay.
Because it was a so core part of who I was.
Right.
And now the bug's bitten me, and I've gotten to every day wake up, what do I want to shoot today? This camera never leaves my car. It goes with me every single place I go. I actually have 4 cameras in my car at all times. I have 2 film cameras, a full spectrum camera, and that guy.
That's
And
awesome.
I just try things. And yeah, like most of them don't make socials because they're all kind of crap. But the stuff that does, I'm really proud of because I'm not stopping. And because one of the habits I've always had a hard time breaking is I live in the middle of a cornfield. I live in a town of 50,000 with 2 colleges,
Yeah.
and the nightlife is all college students, so I don't want to leave my house.
Yeah.
So, and also I was a student in that town too, so I know the town really well, and then I've exhausted every corner of that town. So I can't just go out and be excited about, I'm gonna go walk the street and see what I find tonight because I know what I'm gonna find.
Right.
Instead, it's trying to find opportunities where they present themselves, trying to travel more, get out of the house, or even in the house with just my cats.
Yeah.
Like I will use my cats as models for my work a lot, and they have actually gotten used to my shutter sound because they never stop seeing it in my
That
hands.
is awesome. That's cool. So now you have like you need to create an Instagram for your cats.
Half my Insta is my cats
Yeah.
right now, honestly. And I've chronicled them growing up at this point because we got one of them at 7 months. We got one of them at 2 months.
Now how old are they?
So the older one is named Powdered Donut.
Oh.
And she is now 1.5 years. And the younger one, who we got at 2 months old, is named Giant Squid.
Oh, cute.
And it was really funny naming her Giant Squid at 2 pounds.
Right.
Because the vet techs were dying about that. But she's about 1 year old now. And like I have little models I use for my photos.
That is awesome.
And more my partner, I'm thankful that she puts up with my endless like, hey, I want to try one more thing, and one more
Right.
shot. And I'm thankful she puts up with that at that point. But she encouraged my work a lot, and I'm really thankful that my partner makes sure that even though I feel like I'm stagnant, she reminds me that I've made progress.
Yeah.
Because the hardest part about doing media and being freelance is you are your own worst critic.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can really get stuck in your head. So taking a pause, resetting, and saying, here's what I want to do going forward is a better step than that.
For sure, especially whenever you take hundreds and if not thousands of photos like every week, every month, and you're looking at the same work that you're doing and you're like, this all looks the same, nothing's sparking interest. But then you have your partner and even you have like your community, your audience of people that watch you and they tag you in their posts because they're just flawed with like how well you did with their photos. And then they'll tag you and they'll be like, oh, we love this photo and thank you so much at this so-and-so, thank you for this photo. And then you're like, thanks, I love my photos.
Yeah, and that's why I've tried to give my work to more folks in the space because I want them to, have profile pictures themselves, but also like getting tagged is really nice so that I can say, oh, hey, I took that picture and I can do this thing.
Right. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me for
happy
season 2.
to.
I know you're probably a person on a mission right now, and I'm kind of sweating a little bit. I'm like, I feel like I've taken so much
No,
of your
you're
time.
okay. I actually am on a break right now.
Oh, perfect. Even better. But if people want to check you out and figure out where you're at, what are your socials?
I am at the Rogue Cora because my old gamer tag when I got a 360 at launch was Rogue Leader 096.
That's
I was a huge
awesome.
Star Wars fan, and I kind of swapped my tags to Rogue Cora now. So it's at the Rogue and spelled not Rouge, ROGUE Rogue Cora on all platforms. I keep it consistent for the sake of social finding, and you can also find me in Discord, basically in any server in collegiate esports.
Sweet. Well, then, thank you guys, and I will see you Friday.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.